Friends, in this video for I Thought Wealth, I'm going to talk to you on a very interesting topic. Lessons from social media. We are all in social media, we are always giving our opinions. When we give our opinions, you find opinions to the contrary. Somebody may have a very diametrically opposite view. But how these views get exchanged? How do they get triggered? How do people engage on disagreements? Usually you know the way it works, right? People get nasty very quickly. But there is something very important in engagement, because most investment learning happens when two people engage. Because whatever may be your opinions, whether you agree, disagree, there is always something you take away from every engagement. There are good things, there are bad things, and there are things you take away only to ignore later. But engagements matter. In an investor's life, there would be countless engagements with people, with analysts, with TV people, with peers, with iconic investors, with books, with people who come up and flame out very quickly. So we keep observing and we are engaging constantly with so many entities. Social media itself is a collective entity. Many times on social media you engage with teams. Let's say there is a theme, you call it chemicals, you call it NBFC, you call it microfinance, you call it consumption, you call it domestic growth. Whatever you call it, there is a lot of scope for you to engage with each of these collectives. When you engage with individuals, it's one thing, it's one-on-one. Most of the time you say something, it's like a TikTok, goes back and forth. But when you engage with a collective, which is a group, a kind of a mobilized set of people who believe very strongly in something, then it's not a TikTok, it's a free-for-all. But that engagement also has value, because you're like an Abhimanyu in the middle and all around you have people. Many times you may not win that battle that day, because the sheer might of the people around you is going to suppress you, it's going to put you down. But in the investment world, remember one thing, battles are not won in one day. They are decided much later. What you are actually having on social media or in personal engagements, when you disagree very strongly, are skirmishes. Nobody knows who wins the game in the end. It's like the Cricket World Cup. In an early round, Pakistan is defeated by us squarely, but you don't know what will happen in the later engagement with the same team. So likewise, in the investment world, we have these skirmishes and then you have the battles. So very often people think that it's more important to win the skirmish than the real battle, and they go home happy just winning the skirmish. But an investor's perspective, an investor's focus should be centered on winning the final battle, because you want to be right on your investment hypothesis and you want to become better at getting it right. That is exactly what we are all working for, and that is never in conflict with what another person wants to do. Because most of the time, much as we believe that investment is a competitive race between all of us, it actually is not. It's actually a race between oneself and his own past. You're trying to get better than what you were earlier. So while you use peers and all these single and collective entities to engage and improve yourself, your real battle is with your own demons, with your own past record, with your own biases and what you carry from the past. So when we look at a 94 or a 98-year-old trying to get better, the takeaway for us should be that we have much more responsibility to ourselves than we are giving it. That is the most important thing that social media can positively contribute. A friend of mine who came over was asking about another friend. He said, you both had a fight. I said, so what? That's part of the learning. But you don't keep it in your mind, because on a particular issue you disagreed very strongly and publicly, but you don't turn that into a bias against the person. It was an opinion on an issue or a subject. So, the most critical learning for me from social media is to separate the subject and the person. So when I am not able to agree with the subject, it's fine. It's a difference on the subject. But there are also cases where you are not able to deal with the person. Bad luck, we have to move on. But most of the people who we disagree with are not of that nature. We can deal with them. We can be very civil. We can go back, shake hands and say, hey, you were right. They also have the ability to come back and say, hey, I was wrong. So it's a space where we must learn to engage constantly, purposefully and with focus. If we do this, then social media can make us better as investors and as human beings. On the other hand, if we are going to allow ourselves to be led by our egos, then our very presence in social media, followed by maybe thousands or lakhs of people, turns out to be a gun pointing inwards. And that is something which should not happen to any of us. And that is something which we should think about the next time we go on social media. Thank you for watching this video.